What's the deal, everybody? Once again, it's your boy Sports Dad, and I'm here with an interview doing something just a little bit different. I told you guys that we were going to be catching up with some of the best players in Michigan, and also, too, we were going to be getting you guys caught up with the Harris boys. And I finally got a chance to catch up with these guys, and here I have Myles Harris with me, who was formerly at Chippewa Valley, defensive back, first team All-State, first team in Macomb for DB, and also to punt return specialist, special teams for the Dream Team. And so I'm here with him today, and we're going to talk a little bit about his college career and where he is now. What's up, Myles?
What's good? What's good? What it do?
Nothing much, man. Just catching up with you and just wanted to kick it with you and to see how things are going with you college-wise. But before we dive into that, though, I mentioned a little bit about you returning punts. You like to return punts?
I like to return punts and kicks, but mainly kicks because you got people in front of you that's blocking.
Yeah.
As a punt returner, like you really don't have anybody blocking.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're looking up, like all you see is the ball, but by the time you catch it, it could be somebody in your face, or you could have enough room to make a move. Right. So it's really 50-50 with punts, but kick return, I'd rather be a kick returner because you got people in front of you that's going to block regardless.
And so you did that. You did that in your high school
yeah.
days a couple years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
You returned the punt. Actually, it was probably one of the pivotal punts that you've ever returned, and that kind of put you on the map as a punt returner.
It was a kick return.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Kick return against Romeo.
Uh-huh.
And, that was a memorable moment,
mm-hmm.
and which actually led to the winning point to win the game.
Yeah.
So take us through that. How did that feel?
Man, I mean, the ultimate goal was to keep, the winning streak alive after the 2018 season.
Right.
So I saw that we were losing,
right.
and I'm personally I don't like losing. So
right.
So when I saw that score, it was at the time it was 17-14.
Yeah.
With I think 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
That I saw that, I'm like, dang, I was like, our offense isn't doing much. I was like something has to change.
Right.
And so when I saw the opportunity to catch the kick and return it, I just told Myron came up to me before that. He was like, bro, just run. And so when I got it, I just took off. I didn't stop. I mean, I broke a lot of tackles because our kick return team was decent, but they weren't like good at blocking really.
Right.
So, but I broke a few tackles, and then I cut it in, and I ended up scoring a touchdown. That felt good, just to know that I put the team on back in kind of a little bit,
yeah.
And and so it felt good, to keep that winning streak alive and keep winning.
Right. That was dope, and that was a pivotal moment, and to be able to compete at a high level like that, and arguably the toughest conference in Michigan, which is the MAC Red.
Mm-hmm.
You also had a great defensive career too at Chippewa Valley. Now transitioning to college, you committed to Wayne State, and you now in college, your freshman year. Then COVID hit, so you guys you didn't have a season,
mm-hmm.
right? And so and then going into the following year. Now you're coming in as a redshirt freshman, and you now are having a season, and then you have an opportunity to get on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
But take us through number one. Take us through that moment when number one you found out that you guys weren't having a season, and then up until you actually were able to get on the field and compete.
So once COVID hit, and they broke the news to us, it sucked for sure.
Right.
Having to watch, all the colleges and even a few NFL teams, still having their season.
Right.
But they tried to keep us active throughout that time. So
right.
like they had us working out, doing 7-on-7s, doing position work sometimes. But it was hard to keep that going because every few days or a week or so, people test positive for COVID.
Right.
And so that would set everything back. We would go the whole team after quarantine, then we'll have to take a break from football. But then we'll try to do it again, and the same thing will happen over and over and over again.
Right.
Which got irritating. But once, we made it through it, it was hard staying dedicated.
Right.
It was times where, like people were quitting.
Right.
People were thinking like, I don't think, us not having a season, it's no point in me trying to, play football again. I'm about to just, kick to the side and just do school or drop out.
Right.
And so it was hard, seeing my teammates drop like that, and it was hard. But but what kept me going was was mainly Myron, and because he was always Myron Carday was always talking like we gotta stay with it.
Right.
We gotta push through it and try to push through it until we get to that point where like we gonna make make it happen and actually have a season.
Right.
And so it was tough, but but when you got people around you that that support you and that like you could talk to,
right?
That helps a lot.
Cool. Let me back up a little bit though. What made you commit to Wayne State?
Throughout my recruiting process, it was different than the average recruiting process for an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting recruited really late in my career.
Okay.
And throughout that time, all my offers really started rolling in during the summer going into my senior year.
Okay.
And they were all like mainly Division II offers. I was really waiting on to get like a small FCS Division I school, but unfortunately that couldn't happen.
Right.
But it was different. And so throughout that time, Wayne State was very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
With staying in contact, telling us, like what the deal is financially, and trying to really get us to commit there.
Right.
And
so what was the main catalyst in you committing there? Who was recruiting you?
Coach Scott Wooster, but he's not at Grand Valley.
Okay.
But he was recruiting me along with Coach Duhart, who was at Michigan State now.
Yeah.
But they were both, consistent, contacting me, making sure that I feel like I was wanted.
Right.
Which they did. They did a great job. Made me feel like I was wanted.
Yeah.
And once I got that feeling, and once they came and did the at-home visit, and after thinking things through, like with my parents and Myron,
right.
It was an easy decision just because, like I said, they were very consistent with staying in touch and trying to make sure I felt wanted,
right? Which
they did a great job at. And so that's what made me commit there. I felt like they had somewhat of a plan with me,
right?
And like I said, I felt wanted.
Okay. And now let me ask you this. Now, I've heard this, but I don't know how true it is. But is it true? Although your brother ended up going to Wayne State as well, but is it true that Wayne State weren't recruiting you both initially? They were actually just recruiting you?
I believe so. But like once they knew that I had a twin brother,
yeah,
I think they liked Myron because he's a great back.
Right. He's
big, powerful, fast.
Yeah.
So and elusive. So they saw that in him, and I think that kind of drew their attention to him.
Right.
And they wanted to recruit him as well.
So you mentioned Coach Wooster, who I have a lot of respect for, and you mentioned that he actually did a great job along with Coach Duhart, but they both are no longer at Wayne State.
Mm-hmm.
Did that raise a red flag to you?
So when I committed to Wayne State, that's when Coach Wooster left.
Okay.
He left, and not when I committed, but like a 2 weeks after the signing day.
Right.
And when he left, he gave us a call and was like, I was like, I like you guys. I was talking about, I'm talking about me and Myron at the time, but he was talking about how he enjoyed recruiting us, how he wants to stay in touch with us and follow us throughout our career at Wayne State. But that kind of sucked. Although that wasn't my position coach.
Right.
it was one of the coaches that that made me want to go there.
Right.
He was the one, like I said, staying in touch. Even when I went on my visit there,
Right.
he was he felt like he wanted to change the program and actually keep winning.
Right.
Because at that time they was coming off of an 8-3 season, so we thought like, okay, they about to turn it around.
Right.
But Coach Duhart left going into the 2021 season.
Okay.
And it was like, we thought he was going to be, because we thought he was going to, be with us still. And like, when he was there, he was a corners coach. So he was working with the corners and the safeties, and he's a great coach.
Right.
And, throughout my recruiting, well, not my recruiting process, but throughout my college career, I realized that coaches come and go.
Right.
And so, that's one thing that I had to realize.
Right. Okay. And so now fast forwarding, and so after you mentioned, COVID and what you guys were doing to get through that, now, the next season come up, and it's actually time for you to get on the field, right? So take us through your first season getting on the field.
I was very anxious. That's one thing I can say. I was very anxious, to play football again. And when I got the chance in camp, I was running with the ones, and I was, producing out there on the field, making plays until I got injured. I dislocated my shoulder. And so that set me back. And so that set me off for about, I think, 4 weeks.
Okay.
And so I was out for like the first 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
And then they told me, like, we're going to get you back by this week. And then when we're going to get you back. And once you get back, we're going to allow you to, like, be full go.
Right.
And when I came back, I didn't really play that. I didn't really play at all, really, that game. It was a road game. It was at Missouri S&T.
Right.
And so I didn't really play that much.
Right.
But I got on the field towards the end of the game on kick return.
Right.
And on kickoff. And so when I got those snaps, I tried to make the most out of it.
Right.
I had the longest kick return, which was for like 20 yards.
Yeah.
And then I made a tackle on kickoff. And so after that made me, that put me ahead,
right.
In the coach's eyes, and not playing on defense put a chip on my shoulder.
Right.
And so but the next week I was able to play against Saginaw.
Yeah.
I played that entire game, and that whole game I was playing pretty much angry.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just because like the coach he didn't give me a chance last week, and so now I got a chance, and so it was fun getting out there on defense, balling with my guys, and but it was different from 2020. It was way different. People were actually at the games.
Right.
And it was a different energy for sure.
Right. So, so you mentioned your injury and things like that, and but you worked through that and was able to get back on the field and stuff like that, and so and was able to make some noise now, which gave you a lot to look forward to in the following season. Right. So what did you guys finish at with that in your first season on the field?
Like the record?
Yeah, your record.
2-9.
2-9, right? So so you didn't continue the 8-3 streak that they had previously. And so kind of a disappointing season, but you got a chance to get out there as a redshirt freshman and make some noise and get your name out there a little bit in the coach's eyes and give them something to look forward to the following season.
Yeah.
So the following season happened, and you guys didn't finish too well neither in that particular season. But,
no.
But take us through your second season.
My second season was a lot better than the first season.
Okay.
It was different. It was all about adjusting this past season. We had got a new position coach, like a new DB coach.
Okay.
And then we had also got a new D-line coach. Okay. And our DB coach was our D coordinator. Okay. So it was all about adjusting to the calls, understanding his terminology versus the coach before him.
Okay.
And so it wasn't challenging,
Okay.
but it was a lot easier because my IQ was pretty high,
Yeah.
and so I know how to pick up on certain things, and then having a young coach at that who was able to connect with us, kick it with us outside of football. Like we had a few meetings like this past summer, at his crib,
Right.
kicking it with him for a little bit, chopping it up with him.
Right.
But after that, once the season got going, it was good. Like the coach, like the position coach, the DB coach, Coach Twan, he had a plan for me. He had a plan laid out for that whole season on how he was going to use me. So that gave me more confidence of knowing that he wants me to play pretty much the entire game, all 70 to 80 snaps.
Right.
He believes in me. He believes that I can contribute at a high level.
Right.
And so, but once again, I dealt with another injury that set me back. It was also another shoulder injury. But I sat out for like one game, came back. He put me back to where I was. He wasn't like hindering me or anything. He just threw me back in with the Wolves, and I was able to eat.
Good.
And so the fact that I was able to eat, made me more confident in my game.
You mentioned. So wait a minute. So you mentioned your injuries again. I got to talk to you about that. Like, how did you get through that? Because injuries is a part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, you playing this sport, especially a sport like football, you're going to deal with some level of injury, whether it be a minor injury or a major injury.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with that, and from a mental perspective?
It's all about, in my opinion, it's all about maintaining your faith. I'm heavy in faith, especially with God and everything.
Right.
And so I was, trying to stay positive, because like you said, injuries happen. It's part of the game.
Right.
And so it's all about how you bounce back from it. If it's nothing major,
right.
If it's something you can push through,
yeah.
And keep playing, then do it. But if it's something like a ACL or something worse, then that's when you call it quits. But it was tough. It was tough dealing with it because I already been through this injury before.
Right.
But like you said, it comes with the game. So what I'm saying, it's something you got to deal with. But like I said, it's all about how you bounce back. I was determined to come back as soon as possible.
Right.
So I sat out for that one game, and they told me I was cleared after that, and I was able to go full go again. So it was tough. It was tough dealing with that injury again. Mm-hmm. But it's like you said, it's part of the game.
Right. So you mentioned Coach Twan. You guys got some new coaches, and your new DB coach, Coach Twan. And you kind of hit on it a little bit, but how instrumental was he? With you in you getting on the field and with the plan and things like that. How instrumental was that, and how did you? How was your relationship with him as a coach? Because he had a plan for me, he asked me, he's like, are you trying to, continue with football after college? I'm like, of course. I'm trying to go to the league or play professionally or wherever. Right.
And he was like, okay. He was like, well, as a coach, he was like, that's my goal. He was like, since that's your goal, he's like, I'm going to help you get to that goal.
Right.
So I'm going to work on your technique. I'm going to work on your ball skills, all that.
Right.
And so in practice, because in the 2021 season, our coach was an old dude, Coach West, and he was very old school.
Right.
He was very old school. He was just, teaching old school technique.
Right.
Wasn't trying to teach any new school technique. He was always about tackling, sliding, glide, and that's really it. No open field tackling. And so but when we got a coach like Coach Twan, who was young, who's been in the coaching gig for a minute, he was able to, basically groom me into the player I am, and try to make me a better player than what I already was. So, like I said, by working on my technique, my ball skills, my open field tackling, all that, and so as that, as a player, it's like that's what you want in a coach. The coach is supposed to be able to push you and help make you a better player than what you already are. And I felt like Coach Twan was doing that, and he's a dope coach. He's like I said, he's able to kick it, connect with us because he's young, but he's also able to reinforce things as a coach and help me grow as a player.
Right. Wow. That's dope. That's pretty. That's pretty admirable that you can say those things about him and how instrumental he was in helping you at Wayne State. Coach Antoine Robinson, and it looks like a former 4-year Warrior, letter winning from 2010 to 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Robinson played in 48 games and recording 130 tackles, 87-43, including 4 for losses, along with 12 interceptions and 6 pass breakups. So he was an actual former player.
Yeah, DB.
Yeah. And so and then it looks like from his coaching season or whatnot. Let's see. So it looks like Robinson spent 2 seasons, 2019 and 2020, at Northwood University as a defensive backs coach, prior to being named defensive backs coach. So coach special teams coordinator and recruiting coordinator at Fairmount State in Fairmount. Looks like West Virginia. During 2022 campaign, he helped mentor Drake Reed to second team All GLIAC recognition. So now he was at Wayne State, and looks like he rejoined the Wayne State football coaching staff in 2022. Okay, so he got some experience there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and it's good to know that, and all types of stuff, right? So, but what? So if everything was good like that at Wayne State, why in God's name did you leave? Because right now you was in the transfer portal, right?
Yeah.
And then now you're getting ready to go to another college, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But why did you want to leave? How did you come to that decision? Because you just painted a picture like everything was good.
Everything was good. But it was just the culture of the team. It was like the guys on the team have accepted losing. It's like, I feel like nothing was changing.
Right.
Like, no matter what was said or anything, I feel like the guys were just content.
Right.
And so personally, I don't want to be a part of a program where guys on the team are content.
Right.
With, just losing and, going through that losing stuff. Because I'm not a winner, but I like winning. Right. So I want to be a winner. And so if I can be a winner, and if the guys on the team are gonna help me, be a winner.
Right.
And so it was just the culture of the team, and like I said, nothing was changing. And so it was like I can't be a part of that no more.
Right. Wow. And so were you and you said you felt supported by the coaching staff, but I heard in some instances too that some coaches will push players into the portal. Like prime example, Coach Prime at Jackson. They talked about how he came in and was just like players weren't fitting the culture, and so he kind of pushed them into the portal kind of situation and gave them that message. So were you being pushed into the portal?
No, I wasn't being pushed into the portal. I had a exit meeting with Coach Twan, my position coach, and he basically told me, because I was told him I was thinking about transferring because of the culture of the team, and he was like, do what you got to do. He's like, do what's best for you. He was like, I don't want you to stay here because of me. Wow. He was like, I understand that I understand that you like me as a coach. I understand that you value, things that I give you as position wise and all that stuff. He was like, but don't stay here because of me. He was like, I want you to grow. He was like, if you feel like you can't grow here, and and if you need a bigger platform, he was like, then go ahead. And he was like, I wouldn't blame you for leaving. And so he kept it 100. Told me he was like, I'm gonna be cool with you either way. He's like, I'm here if you need help. He was like, go ahead and do what you got to do, my boy. And then I hopped in the portal.
Wow, that's what's up. And so, and when you hopped into the portal, you ended up finding out that Coach Winters, two-time, I think he was two-time Coach of the Year. I interviewed him too. Great guy. I sat down and ate dinner with him, and but he great guy. and he had a long tenure there at Wayne State. But you ended up finding out that Wayne State parted ways with him.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you found that out, like did that how did that make you feel? Like did that like man solidify like your move? Like man, I'm heading in the right direction because you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it coming, but a few players on the team did because it was his second losing season in a row.
Right.
And so a few players on the team, like I talked to a few of them, like yo, like do you think like Coach Wentz could potentially get fired, or like what you gonna do if you do? And people on the team was like, I don't know. And so when I heard the news, it did solidify my move because it was like I wouldn't want to be in an unstable situation like that.
Right.
It was like now they got to deal with getting a whole new coach, potentially a whole new coaching staff.
Right.
Then they got to bring in their players.
Right.
And so it's going to be a whole headache.
Right.
And so I know that a few players on our team are stressing a little bit.
Right. Right.
But like I said, coaches come and go.
Right.
And so that happens. But for them to fire the head coach and then potentially losing the whole coaching staff and getting a whole new head coach is going to be crazy.
Right.
It's going to be crazy because like I said, they got to bring in their coaching staff and then bring in their players.
Right.
And so like I said, right. And so people are scrambling, thinking like, should I hit the portal or should I leave or what am I going to do?
Just a bad situation to be in.
Yeah. So I'm glad I'm so like that. Like I said, that solidified my move, and that made me confident in my decision.
Right. Wow. So now you committed to another college. You committed to Notre Dame College in Cleveland, Ohio, which is a known program and a nice platform for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that decision?
Man, I feel great about my decision.
Yeah.
When I went up there for my visit, they gave me a whole rundown of how they're gonna use me, just like how Coach Swan did.
Right.
They gave me a rundown of how they're gonna use me, and if I have aspirations of playing at the next level, they'll give me an agent. They'll give me a pro day. The teams come in, all 32 teams come in and talk to them, and so that made me confident. At the fact that they can potentially help me get to my goal, my end goal, my dream.
Right.
And I also like the way like they use their DBs and their nickels in their defense.
Right.
And so like I said, they had a plan for me, and so like I said, I feel confident in my decision. I feel like they're gonna help me grow as an athlete and as a defensive back. So
wow, that's what's up, man. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you play and keeping up with your college career and good for you that you found another home and it feels stable and you feel like it's the right decision for you. Last question: what have you, since you've been in college, right, and a student athlete, football player, what have you learned about that type of environment? Like, what have you learned about being a college athlete and your experience thus far?
It's a perk. It's a perk for being a college athlete. It's like a lot of people come to the game, so you get somewhat of some popularity. But it's a hustle though. It's all about time management.
Right. And
so you got to manage having 6 a.m. workouts, 5 a.m. conditioning, on top of having class, fitness, study time, and also homework time.
Right.
And so, like I said, it's all about time management, and it's a grind.
Right.
Like, there were nights where I was up till 3 a.m. studying.
Wow.
Or even 3 a.m. watching film, or whatever the case may be. It's tough. It's tough, but, it's a grind. So, but, if you really want to accomplish your end goal, you'll do anything to get there.
Right. Whether
it's, with them long nights of schoolwork or with them long nights of film or whatever. So it's a grind, but you gotta love it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not for everybody.
Right.
But if you
I want to finish out here. Talk to the camera, man, and talk to those guys who were, possibly in the same situation as you were. Whether it be dealing with injury, whether it be dealing with the situation where you don't know if the coaching is going to be stable or whatnot. Like, talk to those guys that are possibly in that decision, and what would you advise them?
I'll just say, do what's best for you and stay with it. It's tough. It's tough to make, business decisions like that of either leaving the school or staying with the program. So, do what's best for you and stay with it.